Hi, everybody. My name is Stephanie, and I have been practicing black magic for almost my whole life, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing until I got older and I started to learn more about it, and I learned how to control it. And that's the most important thing is when you learn how to control your magic when you are working with this because it's very powerful and honestly, it's something you really don't want to jump into unless you are absolutely sure and you know that you are able to handle it. A lot of people are gifted in certain um, things, but most of those people cannot handle what they are going to see and what they are going to gain from working with certain spirits. Okay, I started practicing magic when I was about like 11 or 12 years old, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Now, this was I used to unintentionally hex people. People would piss me off. I mean, I've even hexed my own family member. And, they pissed me off to the point I would think of something that would happen. And I'm like, oh, they're going to lose their house or they're going to lose their job and blah, 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 blah. Sure enough, like 6 months to a year later, they lost everything they had. And from that point, I was about like 12 years old. That was my first experience, and I started to learn how to fix that. Now, doing this type of magic is something you really don't want to play around with because not only when you're doing it, it could affect the other people around you unless you know how to control it. And that's how powerful it is, which is why I started to learn how to reverse hexes and stuff when I was younger for that reason because I used to just accidentally hex people left and right because they would just piss me off. And when you are doing this type of magic, you don't want to be that kind of person to where you have to unhex somebody because it's just a lot of energy. And when you are doing baneful magic, you don't want to put yourself in that position to where you have to do it first of all because you are going to ruin yourself, draining all your energy into that person or whatever happened, the situation. And working with the spirits that I have been working with for the past few years has really helped me gain more control. Okay. And like, I started working with King Paimon about 3 or 4 years ago, and I made an official pact with him 2 years ago for spiritual purposes. And I wanted more stability because I was always bouncing around job to job. And it got to the point to where I was moving state to state so I could get a better job and that stuff. And I ended up in Nebraska about like 8 months, yeah, about 8 months ago. And already I have a full-time job, my own apartment. I have everything that I need. And a lot of the stuff that I got from King Paimon, it was incredible. Like, my apartment manager would just come hand me things that people left behind, like microwaves and tables, chairs, and it helped me because I had the opportunity to save money for the long run. And this is also my first full-time job that I've ever had. And it's pretty incredible for what the spirits could do for you as long as you are willing to show and pay your respects in return. I mean, I've gotten stuff like I was thinking of ice cream one day. And I really wanted ice cream, but I didn't have the money for it. And I didn't have the time to go get it. because I was on my way to work. And my neighbor hands me like a little pint of ice cream, and it was a Oreo. That's one of my favorite ice creams. I was like, fuck yeah. It's like stuff like that. Just coincidence. It's like coincidental stuff. So I thought it was pretty cool, but my experiences working with the spirits, and it has helped me a lot more because it helped me learn how to control my energy and learn how to use it towards different things because that's really important is when you are working with magic. You don't want to waste all your energy on hateful shit. If you have certain goals, you want to put your energy towards that goal in order to manifest it. If you're doing it and wasting your energy on negativity, it's kind of counteract with your goals. And the whole point, magic is kind of has a butterfly effect in itself. So if you don't understand that, you really shouldn't try to be playing with magic. If you wonder why your magic isn't working, is because you're using it in a negative way. And it can work when you are hexing a person for a reason, but if you're just using it for whatever, it's like a waste of energy and a waste of time. Which is why I typically tell people you don't want to play around with magic, especially you don't want to play around with the Goetia spirits at all. And working with King Paimon, from what I understand, is that it's like a court system. The kings grant you permission whether or not you can work with certain spirits, especially if you're working with other spirits outside of the Goetia, because it's out of respect. And each king has certain legions, and they're in control of certain demons. So that's why they grant you permission whether or not you can work with that certain spirit. And you have to work through the kings first before you could get to Lucifer. That's just how it works. Which I'll get into another video later. And there's just so much more to life. You know, I used to I grew up in a Catholic Christian religion household. My grandma had forced us to get baptized when my brother and sister were dying in the hospital as a baby. My dad, he didn't want that for us. He didn't want us to be baptized and stuff, but he kind of felt like he was betrayed for that because he wanted us to pick our own religion and do whatever. So my grandma went ahead and got us baptized anyway and took us to church and all that other shit. And it was so forced upon me when I was younger that by the time I was like 10, I was already seeing that it was all bullshit. Like, once I learned Santa Claus was like fucking fake, I was like, man, what about God? Like, I just started questioning everything else. But while I was questioning God and Jesus, that's where I started learning about that there are other spirits and gods out there besides that one, which helped me out in my life in the long run. Because like 7 years ago, I was fucking miserable. And now I feel like I'm conquering the fucking world. And a lot of us are blessed and gifted in certain ways. And some people are ready to handle what's going to be given to them, but a lot of people won't be. And that's the reason why I tell a lot of people you don't want to mess with black magic and you don't want to mess with the Goetia spirits. They could either help you 100% or completely fuck up your life. So that's all I want to get into right now. And thank you for listening, taking the time. And I hope you enjoyed the bit of the information that I gave you.